Are you insane? Did you trade all your brain cells for bullets?
You just don't understand the finer things in life, like firepower and depression.
Rappy, you're here. I need you to tell Neon she doesn't know what she's talking about.
That's probably true, but what exactly are you two arguing about?
Anise says Red Ash is the best event when it's obviously Overzone.
Have you completely forgotten about Memory of Goddess? That game was so good they brought it back as its own mode.
Actually, I'm a fan of No Caller ID.
Oh my god, that's a good one.
You almost had me there.
Jokes aside, I think we should do a tier list of the events so far.
Sounds good. That's covered just the first year. ExportError will die of exhaustion if we try and do every event, and I still mean my theme song MAID.
There's no way you're getting one before me.
As the main heroine of the story, I'll obviously be getting one first.
Right, you're the main heroine. That's why Marion and Red Hood both have official theme songs and you don't.
You're wrong, Anise.
Thanks, Neon.
Red Hood has 2, if you count our hometown, and she'll be getting a 3rd since she won the latest popularity contest.
Let's just start the list before I kill you again, Neon. We'll be judging events based on story, minigames, new Nikke's added, and any other bonuses like costumes or game system updates. Okay, starting from the beginning, what do we think of No Caller ID?
It's the worst.
Seriously, not only was it horribly overtuned to the point that basically only the most extreme whales could even touch the hard mode, but the story itself was uninteresting and it had no overpowered new units or minigames to redeem it.
Agreed. Why was Helm the banner character when she didn't even show up in the story? Honestly, it's a miracle this garbage didn't kill the game. It goes at the very bottom of F tier. Moving on, what do we think of High Tech Toy?
Remember how I said the last event sucked because it had no minigame? Yeah, somehow this event made having a minigame even worse than not having one.
I still have PTSD from getting trapped in an endless loop on that game board.
And the story painted Matisse as huge assholes, which doubly sucked since most people hadn't gotten to the point in the main story where you meet them. The first impression most players had of Laplace was that she was a heartless, arrogant jerk, instead of the lovable hero she actually is.
Exactly. For nearly ruining one of the most important squads in the game and having the worst minigame ever, High Tech Toy goes into F tier just ahead of No Caller ID. Now for a complete 180, Miracle Snow.
This event saved the game.
That's being a little dramatic, but it did show that ShiftUp was capable of great writing outside of the shock factor that Marion's death had at the start of the campaign. It also made Rupee into a really likable character.
This event was perfect. Everyone knows about the story, but it also added so much content that would set the stage for all future events. The minigame was fun, it added coordinated operations and the PvP arena, it gave us a free unit in Neve, Emma's costume was great.
The one criticism you could make was that Winter, Rupee, and Anne weren't exactly great units. Although Anne does have some PvP usefulness, but still, there's a reason this event won Most Memorable Event in the first half year's popularity poll. Easy S tier. Well, that's going to be hard to follow up. How do we rate Brand New Year?
One word, Modernia.
So F tier.
Oh, come on, Rappy. While the story of the event wasn't anything special aside from the hard mode ending with the Modernia teaser, there's no denying that on pure power and popularity, having her as the banner character for this event instantly bumps it up to high tier.
Not to mention the costumes in this event were beautiful. Helm, Sugar, and Julia's dresses were equal parts elegant and sexy. And this was also one of the patches where they dramatically lowered the power requirements for chapters in the story. A tier.
S tier for Modernia.
Hell no, I'll reluctantly put it in A tier and try not to burst into Red Hood mode from sheer rage. Speaking of sheer rage, D Outsiders.
Just because it has Crow in it doesn't make it terrible.
You like this event?
Oh no, it's terrible. Just not only because of Crow.
The story was ridiculous. There was no minigame or costumes. The only saving grace is that Jackal is the most overpowered gremlin to ever curse PvP.
Honestly, that might actually be a reason to rate this event even lower. Jackal has permanently broken PvP to be just one round where your Jackal team bursts first and wins, the second round where their Jackal bursts first and wins, and then the final round that actually matters.
I'm tempted to put it into D tier just because of how meta-warping Jackal is, but with nothing else redeemable in this event, I'll put it in F tier. Going from that downer, let's talk about something happier. MAID and Valentine.
Oh, this is the one where you ordered that cute little cake, isn't it?
No comment.
Overall, it was fine. Soda and Coco are okay units, nothing special. The costumes weren't great. I mean, does anyone even remember Signal got a costume in this event?
True, but this is the event where they added the first SSR selector.
That is pretty big, but it's still a mediocre event. C tier, and that's being generous on account of it introducing Soda, who is both an adequate tank and spawned those Anise kissing Soda memes.
Don't remind me.
Speaking of things you don't want to be reminded about, how about the Chainsaw Man event?
Is there a tier below F tier?
Don't be dramatic.
You can't seriously be defending this piece of shit. The story was dumb. The units were disappointment, with Makima being the only marginally useful one, and only in PvP stall teams. Hell, the only entertaining part of this event was the controversy over Makima's coat.
How did Mappa think they'd partner with the gacha game All About Ass and then try to hide Makima's behind with a coat?
I'm not even going to try and defend this disaster. If you're new to the game, don't feel bad about missing out on this collab event. It's F tier. Let's cleanse our palate with some puppies.
Oh no, Anise, Rappy's been corrupted. She's going to eat puppies.
I was referring to the Bow Wow Paradise event.
Oh, yeah, it was good. I liked the dogs. Not sure how they managed to drive around a washing machine, though.
It was cute, and coming on the heels of the Chainsaw Man event, it was a breath of fresh air. Senti's costume was nice, and the Chihuahua and Biscuits model is hilarious.
True, but if we're being honest, it had absolutely nothing special aside from cuteness. That keeps it out of the bottom of the barrel, but it can't go much higher than that. I'll put it in the top of D. Now for the event that makes every single Nikke's blood boil with jealousy. Sakura's event, Cherry Blossom.
She was supposed to be the savior for everyone struggling against Train-chan, but it's debatable if she even managed to do that. Also, listen to Train-chan's hilarious theme song after this video's over. Link is in the description.
It's ironic. Both she and the event are gimmicks. Her with the special interception boss, and the event with the whole marriage thing.
B tier. Sakura is at best a band-aid unit until you get a better team, and everything else about the event was pretty unremarkable. Now for one of the shortest events, Full Day.
Incredible!
The best.
From having a playable shifty to the Anderson shower scene to the final CG with the three of us and the commander, this event was peak fan service in all the right ways. S tier. What about License to Kill?
Snooze.
The biggest crime of this is that the sequel event kept K in NPC jail.
You think that's bad? Nobody remembers, but during this event there was an Alice rate-up banner, and you can bet that banner got more pulls than the actual event banner.
Wait, really? I was going to put this event in F tier, but I'd say having what was at the time arguably the strongest character in the game on rate up just slightly bumps this up to the bottom of D tier.
D tier for D. Nice.
Okay, now for the ultimate fight, Overzone.
The goat. The goatest of the goats.
Red Ash is better.
We'll get to that later. Let's focus on Overzone for now.
It's just perfect. The story of Dorothy's fall, the last days of the Rapture War, it's our first real look at the Goddess Squad, with beautiful symbolism in the stained glass mission screens that tells us all we need to know about the state of the squad, and it set up so many major plot points that are still developing to this day.
The opening with Lilywise's final message was epic. The subtle storytelling with the changing map, including the ghostly peanut only Dorothy can see, and White Memory with the mother of all reveals at the end.
The music, the voice dialogue, it's spectacular. This was also the patch that introduced solo raids. It gave Alice and Viper new costumes, and most importantly of all, it gave us memes that will last forever. It is the GOAT.
I'm not saying it isn't S tier, but let's be honest. That minigame was about as much a game as any David Cage walking simulator, and Dorsey didn't end up replacing Litter like everyone thought she would as the Burst 1 queen.
First off, go listen to the fan song Burst 1 Queen linked in the description after this video is over. And listen to Neil, Dorothy's fan theme that really reflects the darkness in her heart this event caused. Second, if your biggest complaint is that the most important minigame, lore-wise, wasn't as fun as it could have been, then I think that proves my point.
Good job plugging the songs on the channel, Neon. To sum it up, there's no debate. This goes in S tier. No event following Overzone could compare, but the Bunny Girls event did give us some of the most meta-dominant units in the game.
Great units, fun event that had just the right amount of spice. The only downside is that it introduced the first costume gacha with Rupee's bunny costume.
But it was so hot!
The costume gacha controversy is a whole other can of worms, but there's no denying it was an amazing costume, and the Bunny Sisters were probably the best unit since Modernia. While it lacked any minigames or big story moments, I still think their power alone puts this in A tier. This next one will be quick. Queen's Order. It's the Rosona event?
Oh, right.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, I think that says everything about how forgettable this one was. It did introduce Sakura's costume and Emma's office lady outfit though.
It's D tier. Nothing really redeemable, but also not utter garbage like those in F tier.
Next up is the first summer event, Blue Water Island.
S tier.
You can't just say S tier because you got a swimsuit SSR version.
It's not just that. The story was both fun and dramatic. Mary's summer version was super hot, and it introduced a bunch of summer costumes.
Don't you think the story's ending was kind of anticlimactic? They teased that Pepper remembered killing Mary, then kind of just went nowhere with it. And while they introduced a lot of new costumes, not all of them were available yet. Plus, it brought back that horrible minigame from High Tech Toy.
Well, I think most would agree it was the inferior of the two summer events. It was still a ton of fun. How about A tier?
Works for me.
Going from fun to pure depression, nya nya paradise.
Oh god, how do you even rank this? It's memorable, but outside of the story, there wasn't much.
I got my swimsuit with this patch for some inexplicable reason, and Drake got her race car driver gotcha skin.
I say B tier. The story carries it hard, but it's not like Nero was some meta unit or there was some great minigame.
Back to the ocean theme. How about Golden Ship?
C tier. The definition of average. It did introduce Jime for the first time now.
It also is the event where Yan's summer costume became available. Not that that pushes it out of C tier.
And now for part 2 of the summer event. See you again.
S tier.
You can't just say S tier because you got a swimsuit SSR version.
Is there an echo in here? Besides, my SSR version is actually meta-relevant. And Helm's is great looking too. Plus the barbecue minigame was super fun and we got a free unit with Anchor.
The story was also more satisfying, and the event wallpaper was great.
So unfair.
Sorry, Neon, but I'm going to put this just above Blue Water Island at the bottom of S tier. Next is a tiny, unimportant event about a clothing thief. First Affection.
S tier.
Do you want me to kill you again?
A free costume and fun side stories with the most popular character in the game? It's S tier. Plus, it revealed Crown for the first time.
I'm about to go full Red Hood on both of you.
Sorry, but you've been outvoted. For what it is, it's S tier.
Whatever. Back to Existential Dread. What do we think about the second collab event, Outer Automata?
Great units, great costumes for the banner characters, and a shockingly good dress for Brid, and an incredible minigame with a jaw-dropping final level. What's not to like?
The story and the free SR.
I mean, yeah, the story was easily the weakest part of this, but even then it had its moments. And yeah, nobody is using Pascal ever. The final decision at the end hit pretty hard.
Yeah, but not S tier.
I think that's pretty debatable, but I can agree the story really drags it down. High A tier. We aren't done with the depression yet. Next is School of Lock.
Just when you think you hate Suin enough, this hits.
The biggest crime is that Zwei and Ein are still in NPC jail, but Ray isn't.
You should listen to Marciana's theme song, It's Me Who Failed, to relive the sadness of the event. Link in the description.
High B tier. The story was great and set up the next event, DAZZLING Cupid, the Naga and Tia event.
On unit power alone, this would be S tier.
True, but the story itself wasn't anything special. In fact, it makes you be a jerk to one of them regardless of your choices.
It also had the rerun of the Rupee Gotcha skin, which also doesn't help. They are powerful, but the event has nothing else going for it besides them.
Regardless, the release of Naga and Tia finally gave the Bunny Girls competition in the meta. For that alone, this has to be at least low A tier.
We're getting near the end. How about the Halloween event ACPU Freeze?
The Halloween decorations in the outpost were nice, and Parody got her second and best costume. Drake was funny as always, and it finally made Polly look like a respectable cop instead of a dog joke.
The story was fine. I guess it depends on how funny you find Query's blindness joke. It sort of gets old the 50th time. The event wallpaper was pretty cool looking though.
C tier. Before we get to the big finale, there's the Happy First Anniversary event.
Does this really count as an event?
I mean, it is basically the same as the April Fool's Day event, so yes.
All the encounters with the main characters were fun, and we got the celebration cake item.
It was a cute little event, which is all it was ever meant to be. It can go in C tier. Nothing bad, but nothing spectacular.
But speaking of spectacular, here we go.
Yup, last on the list is Red Ash.
The actual GOAT. We get to see the full Goddess Squad for the first time, plus alternate costumes for Snow White, Scarlet, Dorothy, and Rapunzel. The story was incredible. It introduced Anichiro, followed up on the Oswald plot, and more or less confirmed Anderson as the legendary commander. That scene of Red Hood leaving and Snow White crying and yelling at her not to go had me tearing up. Plus, we got Small White for free and a ton of recruitment tickets. The environmental storytelling on the map was epic. Plus, the music had the bangeriest bangers yet, and the minigame was the best ever, with its own secret ending, plus the secret recording on Red Hood's cassette player. And we got chapters 25 and 26 of the campaign, which wrapped up Red Hood's story, plus so many quality of life improvements I can't even count.
And we can't forget Red Hood. the most broken, overpowered unit in the game to this day.
The story was good, but was it really as good as Overzone? And that secret ending in the minigame was nothing compared to Overzone's. And while both events were voiced, Overzone didn't have the controversy over it that Red Ash did. And Red Hood may be overpowered now, but don't forget, the player base had to riot to get her buffed.
While it's true there were some bumps, I think the way Red Ash tied in with the campaign chapters released at the same time, plus the free Small White and music, push it just over the top of Overzone.
Is that Rappy talking, or has Red Hood taken over again?
And that's the list. Comment below if you'd change any of the rankings, or if you have any other tier list ideas.
Check out the fan songs on the channel.
And don't forget to subscribe for more Nikke content.
See you next time, Commander.
Take to the battlefield, and man his final shield. A single soldier for